To Dave's Dugout. Uh, I'm Dave Schimpf, and this is my podcast, and it's all about softball, episode 18. Okay? All about softball, nothing else but softball, unless by any chance we veer off for a couple seconds. But otherwise, it's softball. Um, I've been trying to do some other things here, and I'm going to do few things today. But I also invite some of my followers who are very dedicated. You know who you are. Big Tony's one of them. He suggested it's time for you to maybe tell some funny stories, and I said, that's a pretty good idea. But the more I thought about it, I said, even though I'm going to go into a few of them today, the more I thought about it, I'd like to invite a few of my followers that maybe has some interesting stories to go on a phone conversation on here, with maybe Skype, and we'll talk about it right here online. So, Tony or anybody else, Joe, I don't know who you all are anymore. There's so many of you, and Tony, Anthony, there's a lot of good guys I umpired with umpire teams, and you know who they are, Billy Cork. So if you'd like to come on, maybe we can talk Thursday or another time and tell some good stories, okay? So please email me. And speaking of email, my email address is daveumpire, DAVEUMPIRE at AOL.com. You can email me. You can text me. Some of you, I have my phone number. You can text me. Or you can use a toll-free number, 833-7-DUGOUT is a toll-free number, 833-7-DUGOUT. So I'd be very interested in having conversations or whatever we can do, okay, to make this happen. A few things today. Again, I'm going to plug the book. Haven't done it last couple of episodes, but this book here is History of Softball. It's called Time and Place, but it's also the biography of Bill Humphrey, famous umpire from the Midland, also the Saginaw area. He umpired many, many games at Hoyt Park and all throughout the country. He was also the president of Amateur Softball Association of the nation and also of Michigan. Without Bill, there probably wouldn't have been a lot of things that we have concerning softball. So he wrote the mechanics for umpires. He wrote many rules for the game itself. So if you're interested in this book, please email me. $20 for the cost, plus shipping and handling. $25 total, okay? Just let me know. Another thing is, I'll put this down here. Oops, let me slide it back here. I have a mug here. I might as well plug it. If you're interested in the Dave's Dugout mug, that's the insignia. And by the way, it's over my shoulder. That's the neon sign. But that's the insignia. And if you want one, it's just $10. That covers cost and a little bit of profit for me. Okay? So get a hold of me if you'd like to have a mug. And by any chance, if you are on this podcast, either talking on the phone or in person, you're going to get a free one of these, okay? That's what I got them for, really, is to give out. So you'll get a free one of these. So, Big Tony, if you go on the phone with me and want to talk, feel free, and I'll get you this mug, okay? Okay. A couple things to talk about today. I'd like to bring up this, first of all. We had an umpire get the the Michigan USA Softball of Michigan President's Award. Okay, he was just given this a few weeks ago down in I do believe it could have been Adrian, but I'm not sure anymore, or Don Newstead's area. But anyway, I'll show you a picture of who it is. It's Jerry Hoffman. Jerry Hoffman is in this photo. He is. Let me see if you well. He is a person, my face, all right? I'm not going to say right or left because I'm not sure how you view this. He's a person right next to my face. That's Jerry Hoffman. That's Don Newstead in the middle. He is a commissioner and also a district UIC. And that's also Jim Connors there. He's the vice president of the Amateur Softball Association here in Midland. I'm not Midland, Michigan. USA Softball Michigan. Okay, vice president. And they presented Jerry with the award. Okay, just wanted to make a mention of that. And speaking of Jerry, I might as well say a few nice words about Jerry because that's all I can say is nice words about Jerry. Uh, I was a UIC for Jerry for I don't know how many years at the state JO tournament in Mount Pleasant. I know it was at least 10 years, could be more, because I was UIC there for 17 years. But one thing about Jerry is he never refused or didn't say he couldn't do a game if I had to put him on another game, or if I had to move him, or if I had to put him on maybe even a lower class game. Never said a word. He just did it. And that's what we want out of our umpires, okay? Never said a word. He just did it. And one time I do believe it was him. Could have been him and Jerry Cook, but I'm not sure. But I know Jerry Cook was also one of them. I had a game that kept getting moved back because of rain and all kinds of things. It started like at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I do believe it was Jerry, but I could be wrong. But didn't say he couldn't do it at all after 2 games already. Jerry Cook was one of them. I know that. And they were wore out, but they went out there. They went out there and without hesitation, and they did one of the best games you ever saw in your life. Okay? Just amazing what some of our umpires will do, how they'll step up and do it. All right? I couldn't say thank you enough. But as far as Jerry Hoffman, Jerry, I can't say thank you enough for what you always did for the program and for me. Okay? I truly appreciate it. Just wanted to let you know that now. Okay? All right. A few things today. I did tell Tony we're going to talk about a few humorous stories, and I will today. But I wanted to mention a couple things here first. And that is something that somebody also asked me about, more than one. They said, why don't you talk about ejections? Well, the reason why I don't really like to talk about ejections is they're not pleasant. No umpire really wants to have an ejection. We really don't. Okay? We really don't. I never wanted to eject anybody. Okay? Never wanted to eject anybody. But sometimes you can't help it. And then sometimes you could help it. Okay? And I want to talk about a couple of ejections. One, if you're going to have an ejection, don't lose control. You don't need a huge overhand and yelling, screaming, "You're out of here," or whatever you're going to say. You don't know. That's for on TV stuff. That's all that is. That's for show. If you really want to show that you didn't lose control of a game, do it calmly. Do it calmly. Okay? Don't lose your cool. Try to do it calmly. I understand sometimes you can't help it. And I understand sometimes coaches can't help it. And I understand sometimes players can't help it. You know, one thing I've always said to umpires, and that is, in a way, we are also psychoanalysts, all right? We are psychologists in a way. You know why? Because let's just say there's 12 players on a team and a few coaches. Okay? So that's about right around 30 people that we've got to handle in a game. Now, those are 30 different people, right? 30 different profiles. We have no idea what those people did during the day or before the nighttime games. No idea. They could have had problems at work. They could have had problems at home. They could have had some serious problems at home, serious problems at work. We don't know. You really don't know. So try to think about that for a second before you want to toss somebody. Just think for a minute. Maybe they just had one rotten, stinking day, and now it carried over into the game. Okay? That's all I want to mention about that, because I always think about that. It's not always about softball. All right. Now, speaking about ejections, There were two injections in my lifetime that I would love to get back. And if anybody thinks that ejections don't bother umpires, I got news for you. I think there's a couple of ejections that bother every single umpire out here. Okay? We're all human beings. And sometimes you wish you would have counted to 10 before you did it. Maybe 20, maybe 30, maybe 100. Okay? However, there are a couple I want to mention today. And one was a girl, the only girl I ever tossed in a game, high school game. Only one. Up in Tawas. It was a good 15 years ago. High school game in Tawas. Now, the Tawas field is big where they played. And the backstop was way back there behind home plate. Okay. And I had a girl, and there was a strike 2 count on her. It was a strike call on her. It was a second strike. And it was outside. Could it have been outside off the corner? Possibly. I didn't think so. I thought it was a strike for sure. I call it a strike. And she drew the line on the outside of the plate. Now, we all know that's a no-no with an umpire. I have had very few girls ever draw a line on me. Okay, but she didn't just draw the line. She said something that was personal. Okay? And I tossed her. And as soon as I tossed her and she looked at me and she didn't know what to say, and the coach said, "Did you just toss my player?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I did." And she walked towards the dugout. And the father was behind the backstop, and he just got into me. He just got into me big time about, "I bet you think you're a big man. I bet you're proud of that." And it went on, and it went on, and it went on. As we know, we're supposed to ignore the people behind the backstop. But after a while, I couldn't ignore it anymore. And I turned around and didn't know who he was. And I said, "Sir, if you think for a minute that I was proud of what I just did, you are so wrong." I said, "If I could get that young lady back in this game, I would." I said, "I would," because she probably is just as sorry as I am. I said, "But I don't want to hear anymore." And so that was the end of the discussion. And to be honest with you, I didn't hear anymore. I think maybe the athletic director might have took over, but I'm not sure. But anyway, there was no more to be said. That's one instance right there that has stuck with me over the years. Okay? Bothers me to this day. Bothers me to this day. And another time it happened that bothers me, but we've made up. And that was Ryan Thompson. I tossed Ryan Thompson in a state tournament in Port Huron at the plate. I'm not going to throw Ryan under the bus, but I gave him a couple warnings, and it didn't happen. It didn't follow through. And I ended up tossing him. Long story short, I didn't realize at the time, but that took them below the minimum amount of players they needed. There was a 10-man modified state tournament, and that put them down to 9. Unfortunately, when you have an ejection and you go below the minimum amount of players, the game's over. So the game was over early, and they were out of the tournament also. First game of the tournament. Yeah, it got ugly. They yelled at me. He yelled at me. I didn't yell back. I just walked off the field. We talked about it with the UIC, and everything was fine with what I did as far as he was concerned. However, that bothered me. I knew Ryan well. I knew his brother Corky well. Okay? They were in my league. They played all the time in my league. And after this happened, it took a while, but over the years, Ryan and I have made up. We're good friends now. At least I think we are, because he told me so. So he said, "I'm over it, Dave." And I said, "Well, I'm glad to hear that." So to Ryan, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. So I just wanted to let you know that it bothered me. Okay. And I think I told you that. But we're going to talk about a few other things that happened now that we've got the bad stuff out of the way, so to speak. I'll tell you about a couple ejections that were kind of funny. Okay. So had Company C. Company C was a well-known, modified, mostly black team in the city. I knew the players well. Loved those players. I love Company C. They were one of the most fun teams to have. Billy Cork was the manager, coach, and he made the game fun, and he had respect, as most of his players did, for the umpires. Very few ever had a problem with the umpires. Okay, but this was a year after the Detroit Lions fiasco with a coin toss. Anybody who knows football remembers when they had a coin toss with the Lions, and somebody said they called heads or tails, and the referee didn't see it or recognize it, and it was a mess. And I do believe it was overtime. So the NFL decided after that time they would call it before the flip. Okay, no more calling it in the air. So I decided, you know what? That's a good idea. From now on, that's how I'm going to handle the flip. The coin flip to decide who the home team is. I'm going to say, okay, we're not going to call it in the air anymore. Call it now, and I'll flip it. Well, I had Corky's brother out there at the plate conference with me, and I can't remember who the other team was. It's immaterial. And Charlie, he was out there, and I like Charlie. He was one of the older guys out there, but Charlie was one of a kind. Okay, so he was out there with me, and I said to Charlie, Charlie, I want you're going to call it now. And Charlie said, no, I'm going to call it in the air. I said, no, Charlie, we're gonna call it now, and then I'm going to flip it. Not going to make any difference. He goes, yes. He says, I know it. It's going to make a difference. I'm going to call it now. I goes, Charlie, you're not going to call it now. I said, we're going to call it. He said, I'm going to call it in the air. That's what he said. I'm sorry. He said, I'm going to call it in the air. I said, no, Charlie, you're going to call it now. He goes, nope. I said, one more time. I says, Charlie, just go along with this. You're going to call it now, but not in the air. No. I said, okay, enough. I pointed to the other coach and I says, okay, it's your turn now. And Charlie said, what surprised me, Charlie says, well, you're nothing but a SOB. But he used the words. Well, that's not a good thing to say to an umpire. Took me back and I tossed Charlie. And Billy Cork stepped out of the dugout and he goes, Dave, it's the coin toss. How can you toss somebody for the coin toss? I said, ask Charlie. He'll tell you. So that was kind of humorous in a way. Okay. To this day, I still tell the story that I actually tossed somebody during the coin toss. It shows you how it can happen. Okay. That's one humorous story. Another humorous story that didn't involve an ejection, but it was I was on the plate and I had Company C again. Okay, Company C. Don't know who the other team was. It doesn't matter. Company C was to my left in that dugout, and Jeff York was my umpire out on the bases, and he was behind the shortstop. They had a runner at second base apparently, so. He was behind shortstop, and I had a play at the plate. Really close banger, close play. And I called the player out, and it was Company C's player. And somebody from Company C, I think it was Billy, but it was somebody over there, said, Dave, can you get help? Can you get help? And I said, certainly. Now, as we all know, that's not usually something an umpire says. We usually say, no, I don't need any help. And really, in this case, I didn't need any help because I knew I had to call. But they said, Dave, can you get any help? And I said, certainly. Stepped out from behind the plate, pointed out to Jeff out there, and I said, Jeff, did you have a better look at this play and a better call? And Jeff put his hands on his knees and just shook his head. And Billy or whoever it was over there said, never mind, Dave. Never mind, we understand. So in a way, that was another funny thing that happened. Now that could have caused an ejection, probably, maybe. Who knows? Who knows what could have happened? But anyway, that's one of my funny stories I'm going to tell, along with a couple more here. Okay. Um, Everybody remember Whitey? He was an umpire at Hoyt Park. Whitey been around forever. Okay, had a quirky nature. Had sometimes got himself in trouble because of some of the quirky things and goofy things he did. God rest his soul. Okay. Um, but I was at third base, 3-man system. I think it was a must have been a state tournament or something. 3-man system. I do believe the bases were loaded, and we had somebody hit one, you know, to the outfield, and players are coming home. First player comes home, scores. For some reason, Whitey stepped out in front of the plate. I don't know what he was doing, but the second runner comes in and just takes him out. It was probably one of the most hilarious things you're ever going to see. He went over the apple cart, so to speak. I'll be nice. We know what the term is. Over the apple cart and came down on his butt. And all in one motion, he points to me at third base and he goes, "Dave, what do you got?" Now try to make a call after that. And I'm serious. He pointed to me and says, "Dave, what do you got?" Well, I've got no other call but safe, because there's no way I can call the player out. I just came up with safe. And I all the players must have been laughing. They all knew Whitey anyway. And so it was just too funny for words. It was, to this day, I can visualize it. It was just too funny for words. And that was Whitey. So that was one of the things we had. That was a humorous story. Another humorous umpire was another thing that happened. I can't recall right now, but we're going to go to I had Monty Stewart. Monty Stewart was a player. I can't remember the team he was. I'm sure Jeff York could remember because he was out there with me. Another time when Jeff was out there. District championship game on Diamond 4. Remember that too. District championship game on Diamond 4. Okay? 7th inning. Bottom of the 7th. 7-0. True story, as I'm sitting here. And Jeff can vouch for it. And probably Monty too. 7-0, they're behind. 2 outs. Now think of this. 7-0, 2 outs. Bottom of the 7th. District championship game. The wheels come off. There's hits. There's base on balls. There's errors. And before you know it, runs are coming across the plate. And it's 7-2. And it's 7-4. And it's 7-6. And it's still 2 outs. Oh, just a second. I got to get this phone call. Hi, Gary.
Hey, David, I've been out in the yard. What's up?
Well, I'm on a podcast right now, and I wondered if you could give us some information. If you don't mind being on the podcast, can you Skype or whatever we can do? Can we do this a different way, or just do it this way?
Well,
Let's just do it this way.
there's FaceTime.
Oh, okay. Or would you rather wait until Thursday? Do you have better time, or is this good?
Actually, how long are you talking about?
Oh, maybe another 20 minutes.
Oh, no, we can do that.
Okay.
We can do that.
All right. How about hang on a second? I'm just finishing a story, okay?
Sure.
Hang on, Gary. I think we can do this without FaceTime. All right?
Okay.
Hang on. You'll like this story too.
Okay.
So anyway, Monty Stewart's at third base, and he ends up there, and the score is now 7-7. We have gone from 7-0 with 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th inning to being tied up 7-7. Okay? Jeff York's on the bases. I'm on the plate. And all of a sudden, I see Monty still moving down at third base, still moving forward. Catcher's got the ball, and I'm saying, uh-oh, I think Monty's going to try to steal home. Catcher throws the ball to the pitcher, and here comes Monty. Full steam, and we all know Monty had some speed on him. And Monty slides into home safely, and they win the game. They win the district final championship game at Hoyt Park after being behind 7-0 with 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th inning. Just think about that for a memory. And Jeff and I talk about this to this. That's pretty funny, isn't it, Gary?
Absolutely. That's quite a comeback.
Yes. Anyway, I've got Gary Evans on the phone here with me. Gary Evans used to be our state UIC for how many years, Gary?
For 15.
Okay, 15 years. That's a long time, Gary. Anyway, I'm going to have him talk about our prestigious award because he knows a lot of details about this award, okay? So I know Gary can tell this better than I can. So you go right ahead, Gary.
Okay. Well, back in 1990, I believe, is when I started it. I had a nice piece of mahogany wood from an old hi-fi that my folks had. That's dating somebody. And what I did, I figured, well, what the heck? I'm going to make something kind of goofy and see if we can't do something with it. So it was real early when metal bats were just coming out. Somebody had destroyed one, so I took it and I cut it in half, cut it on an angle, and I put it upright on that board and attached it. And then I went around and I grabbed one umpire shoe, an indicator. What else? A lineup card holder, and several things that were just germane to umpires. And I figured, what the heck? I'm going to create this award. And a good friend of ours, who was an umpire, his name was Kip Rodebeck. He could tell a good joke, and he told a joke. In the bottom or the last line of the joke was, "You got to be shit." So I thought to myself, I'm going to make this award, and we're gonna hand it out. At that time, I think I was a district UIC. I wasn't even on the state staff at that time, like I say, back in the 90s. And I put it all together, and I had a wood engraving set, letters, you tapped in with a hammer. And I put the award, the "You Gotta Be Shitting Me" award, and I put the criteria for giving the award. And the criteria for giving the award was absolutely nothing.
That's correct.
Criteria.
There is no criteria for this award, believe me.
So it started with, we had an umpire that ended up out at the field without his mask or without his ball bag or without something. And the first winner was a fellow by the name of Ron Gutschall. He was the UIC up in the Upper Peninsula. And then each year, the person who won the award at our statewide staff meeting, that person would stand up and they would award the award to somebody new. And they had to stand up and tell them why they gave the award to them. And it's morphed into now people end up telling, having 5 or 6 stories about people and then say, but now the winner is. But we've been doing that since 1990. Wow. I jokingly tell everybody it's the longest running umpire award in the state of Michigan. We didn't come up with annual awards with the Michigan Amateur Softball Association until after that. So it's handed out yearly, and it's a goofy award. And like I say, it's no criteria. We had one person, Linda Hoover, won the award. And what happened is Kevin Ryan had the award before her. People will know Kevin Ryan because he was on our state staff. And when he left our state staff, he became the national director of umpires for ASA softball at the time, and now still is under USA softball. But his way of giving it to somebody is before the meeting started, he got there early and he put an envelope underneath one of the chairs, not knowing who's going to sit there. And Linda Hoover sat in that seat, and she got it. And that was pretty interesting. But when I say no criteria, I got the award myself, and the reason I got it was I was on a vacation in Amsterdam, fell off a Segway and broke my ankle.
I was trying to think what you got it for. I'm glad you recollected my memory.
It wasn't softball related. It was the only way softball related was me as an umpire for softball. But that's what I got it for. But I think the absolute funniest one that I've heard that is memorable is one of our district UICs. His name is Mike Almack from Kalamazoo area.
I was going to tell this, but I'll let you do it. You go right ahead.
He was umpiring a ball game, and when he made a call, his upper teeth fell out onto the ground, and he picked him up, dusted him off, and put him back in. I don't even know. I have to look at the list.
He said he was behind the shorts. I mean, the second base girl. That was a girl.
Yeah.
And he said, "You didn't see that, did she?" He goes, "Did you?" And she goes, "I saw something." Don't tell anybody. And unfortunately, somebody else saw it. So
somebody else saw it.
This is an award, by the way, nobody really wants. Believe me.
It's supposed to be displayed prominently, so when umpires visit the house, they'll see it. But in checking the history today, I even talked to Mike Almack earlier today, and then I called our present state UIC, Ross Martin, and found out that the last couple of years of the history, because COVID year was not given out.
Right.
And then,
that was the only one.
Year, right. And the person who gets it's supposed to hold it for a year in a prominent place. And he was on his way back from Florida, and his wife was in the car. Sue said, "Gary, I want to tell you, never got in the house. It stays in the garage." So it's an auspicious award, but
yes.
It's been going since 1990.
Well, as you know, Gary, you know who got it more than anybody else, right?
Yes, I do.
And who was that?
Yourself. But,
that's correct.
Talking
4 times.
Ross, huh? Yeah.
4 times.
Well, you shared it with somebody too.
Yes, I shared it with everybody. I never got it by myself.
Oh, well, you lucky devil. People love you.
Yeah, I know. One time I got it with I might as well tell this story. I got it with Jeff York. Jeff was on his way. He was a UIC in a state tournament in Port Huron, and he missed the turn to go into the city, and he went over the bridge. Now, when you go over the bridge, you're going into Canada, okay, and you're not going to be able to turn around and just go back. So he was caught over there for a couple hours before he was able to come back this way. So that's how he got the award. I got the award also. Unfortunately, I can't remember right now what I got it for that year, but I shared it with him. So he was one of them. But go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, I think there were 2 or 3 times people did share it.
Yes.
But it came up, and I lost track of the people who got it recently. In fact, the most recent one was Ross. He had it.
Yep.
And somehow he ended up with it and gave it to Steve Jonke at a meeting.
Yes.
And it was the spring meeting, I think. And he hadn't got it in the fall, so it was time for him to pass it on. And so he handed it to Steve Jonke, and Steve turned around and gave it to Rick Havercroft. Rick Havercroft has it now.
Yes, and I'll tell you how Rick got it. Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if you remember this or not, but Rick was the UIC at the state tournament last year at Hoyt Park, okay? And he mentioned to me, which was a big mistake, we know that, never say anything. He mentioned that he's never got the award. And I goes, really? So when he said that, I'm saying, okay, what does he end up doing? There's a bad rainstorm that comes in, and we got mud puddles. And there's a little boy out there jumping around in the mud. So Rick, and I wish I would have got my camera out, but Rick's got his green Crocs on, And he goes out in there in the mud, and he's dancing around with the kid in the mud puddle. And I goes, uh-oh.
Picture time.
And that's how he got the award. So he's got it right now. So that's a funny story.
Well, most of them are funny stories. Like I say, the people who get them now generally stand up and throw 4 or 5 people under the bus for what happened to them this year.
Yep.
But the winner is, and they pick the person. So
yes,
it's fun. It's fun.
It is absolutely fun. Now, if you got a few minutes, I can go into a couple more stories. But if you want,
Sure.
Sure. Like I said, I got it 4 times, and this involves Jeff York again. When I got this one, Jeff York didn't get the award, but we're doing a district game at Valley Lutheran, and I'm doing it with York, and I'm doing it with Dennis Hall. Doc is with me on the bases. I'm behind the plate, and there's a pop-up foul ball, and Jeff is sitting behind the backstop. Pop-up foul ball, and the catcher is moving back, and I'm trying to get out of her way, and I'm backstepping, and she takes her forearm and she gives me a shove, and down I go like a turtle. Okay. I go right down on my back, right by the backstop. Okay. People come out, see if I'm okay, brush me off, Long story short, we get back there and I'm standing up. I'm okay. And Jeff York, real loud, says, I just hope to God somebody got a video of that. And the people sitting behind the backstop said, oh my goodness, to say something like that. I said, don't worry, I know who he is. He's working with me. And so I ended up with the award because I'm not sure if I think he told somebody about the incident, and that's how he ended up with it. And
yeah, see, you're mentioning somebody that's an older timer.
Yep.
That they didn't have the videos that they do now.
Nope.
For the people listening, they should understand two of the names mentioned, Mike Almack and Doc Hall, are 2 most recent umpires in the Michigan Softball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Yes.
Yeah, they're the two were enshrined last fall.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, they were. So you see, getting the award doesn't disqualify you from the Hall of Fame.
That's a good point.
And I got it another time in 2021. I had a heart attack, and Mike Clark also had heart problems at that same time. We both ended up in the hospital at the same time. We didn't even realize it. And somehow Mike found out that I was down in the room on the same floor. So he come walking down, and we both had our hospital gowns on, and somebody took a picture of it. And unfortunately,
that's a sight to think about.
Yeah. And unfortunately for me, I posted it on Facebook, and that was a real bad mistake. And we both got the award that year. Mike wasn't happy with it, but I took it, and it's the way it is, no criteria. See, we weren't on the ball field, so it's just one of those things. Again, I can't remember what the 4th reason for is, but there was 2 of them right there. I'm not sure if I had one more down here. Oh yeah, Mike Baker got it for a state tournament one year. He was doing. I was a UIC, and he was doing the fast pitch tournament in Midland, and he had 3 games, and every one of them took more than 2 hours, and one of them took almost 3 hours. And we started calling him 2-Hour Hightower. We have an umpire called Lamar Hightower, and he was always nicknamed 2-Hour Hightower. So I said, my God, Mike, you had 3 games, and he took a total of almost 7 hours. How do you do that? So he ended up with the award for that. And I'm just looking here, one more person. We might have covered him. Yes. Oh, there was one more. Linda Hoover got it from me one year too. Did you know this? She got it for. Remember, I always said my saying on a Sunday if we had a meeting was, "Bless you, for you have sinned and you will sin again." Well, I was always given the blessings, right, Gary, at our meetings, and for some reason, Linda thought I was a real minister. And we were at the state tournament, and JO state tournament in Mount Pleasant, and we were all gathered over there by by the trees over there, changing and getting ready. And Linda said to me, she says, Dave, she says, you know what? She says, I never knew you were a minister. I looked at Linda and I goes, you're what? She goes, she says, yeah, yeah, Father Dave. That's right. I was called Father Dave. That's right. Everybody called me Father Dave. I says, Linda, I'm not a minister. I'm not a priest. I said, never was, never. She says, well, I wondered about that because some of the language you use. I goes, no, I never was. And that's why she got the award that year. I ended up giving it to her from me. So, yeah.
Well, she is one of the two-time winners.
Yes. So
she's a multiple winner.
Yes. So anyway.
She's also in the Hall of Fame. So
yeah, and she's in the Hall of Fame. That's in fact,
yeah.
Most of the people who have won the award are in the Hall of Fame, by the way.
Yeah, you know what? I'd have to look at that list, and I just went over it today when I was trying to finalize it. And I'm trying to think if there's anybody that's not. And I think
Jeff York. Jeff York isn't yet. Or
Jeff's in.
Oh yeah, Jeff is in. That's right. He went in a couple years ago. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think just about everybody's in it. So
that's the only one. The Hall of Fame. I've missed 2 Hall of Fame ceremonies in all the years I've been doing it, and that was one. We were in Portugal when that happened. When Jeff went in.
By the way,
sorry to miss that one.
By the way, Gary's a world traveler, so he's been all over.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
Yes, that just tells you how much money you can make as an umpire. See.
Well, I hate to tell your listeners, but Gary didn't make. After I joined the state staff with all the traveling and stuff I did,
you are correct.
Wasn't the reimbursement people may think was there, folks.
That was the only.
I didn't make any money after 1979. You can ask my tax person on that.
Exactly. I mean, I was on the state staff for 17 years, and if anybody doesn't realize that we were not on the payroll. The only money we got was per diem. That was it.
Yeah.
So just wanted to let you know that. But anyway, Gary, I'm glad you were able to call back because that took care of what I was going to talk about, but I was going to push it back to Thursday. But now we were able to get these stories in. So very good. Excellent. Well, you have yourself a great day.
I will. You do the same.
And thanks again for calling.
Keep listening.
And you can catch this on Facebook. It'll repeat. Yep.
Thank you. Take
Bye.
care. Bye-bye.
Well, there we go, people. We heard some very funny stories today. So, again, softball is a great sport. You can have a lot of fun with softball. You can have a lot of fun before, during, and after. And wherever you are. I'm sure there's softball stories told all around the country and probably almost any hour of the day. All right. So, again, I'm going to offer this to some of my ball player friends. And if you want to come here live, we can do it live. Or if we want to do it on the phone, just like I did with Gary, and we can do it FaceTime. So the person's face is on there and go from there. Okay. So I want everybody to have a great day. I was going to take a game in today, but I'm a little bit under the weather. Midland was playing Heritage High School today at Midland. I was going to go there with Bill Humphrey, but Bill was also busy today. So I think he was. Maybe I didn't mention it. I did mention it to him when I called him. Anyway, I'm going to take one in Friday. Bill and I and his granddaughter, Claire. She's going to go with us to a game on Friday. I do believe we're going to go to Bullock Creek and watch Bullock Creek play in Midland. So, yeah, I'm starting to take some games in, and I urge everybody out there. You know, all you have to do is go on the website. I did it. I must have went on, I think, 5 or 6 different high school websites and looked at their schedule, put it on my phone, and now I have their schedule for the rest of the year. I do believe I have Frankenmuth, Bullock Creek, Midland Dow, Heritage, Swan Valley. I think it's those that I have. So, yeah, I intend on taking some games. And with Saginaw Valley State College, University, and Northwood University nearby, I have to look at their schedules. So, by all means, take some games in. Don't want to take too much of your time up, but this has been a very enjoyable podcast. And I thank you for all your support. Thanks, Spring. Thanks, softball. Have a good one. Bye.